Hello, everyone. Welcome to the workshop today on the new expression builder that we have in Nitro. This is, I should have had the version number in my mind I had before I started this. This was released in a recent version of Nitro. If you don't have it yet, I know some of our on-prem customers and maybe GCC High customers might not have access to it yet, but it's a really cool thing that I want to show you. And so you can prepare for it. You can obviously, this video will be available for you down the road if you ever need to review it. Looks like I got a couple of people chiming in last minute. That's great. Thank you all for joining today. Appreciate it. And we can go ahead, I think, and get started. So what I want to show you is this expression builder concept that we have in our custom actions, and we're going to be rolling it out for workflows in the not too distant future. Should have that available soon. And what it does, so it solves a couple problems. And one of those problems is having to remember your display name and internal names for columns. I know it's something we've been doing a lot when you do your like column mappings, like when you're mapping, creating a task. Like so, in this example today, I'll maybe create some tasks based on a help desk ticket that's come in for a hardware request. So we can create some tasks automatically, and what we want to do is populate those tasks with information from a task template list. So I'm going to go through all that, but essentially what you want to do is create, when you're creating an item or updating an item, you want to map data over into that item, and that could be from various sources. And you got it, construct it in a certain way that you've got the column name and display an internal name. You've got those things there, and you have to remember all that. So what the expression builder does is it gets around that and having to remember those column and internal names. It's actually going to pick the internal name for you, so you don't have to remember it. And it's going to another big thing that's going to allow you to do is nest functions together. And I'll show you in our example today what that looks like. And you guys get a special treat because I'm also going to be highlighting a little bit our new looping workflow, which we have another workshop dedicated to that on October 12th, where I'm going to go into that in more detail and show you some more examples of what you can do with a looping workflow. But if you're, a lot of you, I think, on this call probably are aware of what the possibilities with a looping workflow. So we are going to see a little bit of that today, but it's really just in the service of showing you what this expression builder can do. And so we'll go ahead and get going with showing you that. But first I want to kind of set the stage here of what we're looking at. I'm going to use our help desk system as I often do. And like I said, what we're going to have for those who are just joining us, what we're going to do is show you how to, when a ticket gets submitted, it's got a certain category on it. In this case, it's going to be a category of hardware request. And based on that hardware request, we're going to go and read a list of task templates and see which tasks would be available or appropriate for that particular hardware ticket, help desk ticket. Right, so this is something I just added in really within the last hour, believe it or not. So I added in these task templates and basically said, okay, when it's a hardware request type of ticket, we're going to create these 3 tasks. One is going to be an approval task, and I'm just going to put my name in there. And there's more complex stuff we can do to get who the assignee should be, but that's outside the scope of what we're going to talk about today. There's a configure hardware, which, like set up a laptop, install Windows, install Office, whatever you need to do, and then deliver the hardware, which is, physically bringing it to the person. So you got those 3 tasks that need to be done. What you'll notice here too, and this is part of what the expression builder is going to be able to do for you, is that you see I put a number of days until due. And so we're going to use that to calculate how long in the future, how far in the future this is going to be due. So we got 5 days, 10 days, and 10 days. That's business days. So we're going to use business time for this one. So it's going to actually calculate business days out into the future of when these tasks are going to be due. Now it's going to do this, obviously all automatically. You don't have to go and create them. It's just going to be done. Hit save, boom, 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 task get created. Now, how does that happen? Well, I'll show you. So we've got our, I'll just kind of, well, actually, I deleted a lot of the stuff, so I'm not going to run it right now. But I'll just show you what I did actually on this particular ticket. Is I created this, and you can see over here, it's created, I ran it a couple times because I had some issues with the due date, but you know, it automatically created these 3 tasks and put those due dates on there. So those are all done automatically. Now I'll show you how that gets set up. And importantly, 2 important things are working to make this happen: the looping feature and the expression builder. So with that, I'm going to pop over to custom actions because, well, before I do that, I'm just going to show you that I put a custom save button on this form and, you know, overrode it and connected it over to custom action to create these, add these task templates. And so I'm going to come into my custom action. And first thing you'll notice is this new looping feature, which is really, really cool. I kind of wish I was doing my workshop on that today, but I want to focus on the expression builder because we do have more to show with the looping feature in a couple weeks, and I'll be more prepared at that point. But it's a really cool feature where you can go and loop through things. So what we're doing is when the task gets created, we're going to run this action. And what it's going to do is first going to go and query the task templates list that we have, and it's going to match up to the category. Now here I did have to remember the internal name, but yeah, minor thing. So I've got the category that is in the task template. You'll see I have that here, category, pointing to the same categories list that the tickets has. So it's a similar lookup list. Same lookup list. And then I've got, so I'm going to pull back every item from that task templates list that matches that category. Now, obviously there could be other categories, other task templates, other types of requests. So that's the flexibility is that it can do that. So that's really all I'm doing here is just getting those items from that task template list where the category matches the category. Now, automatically it's gonna, this looping feature is really cool because what it'll do, you know, it points to that query list and it's just going to execute this set of actions for every item that pulls back from that item collection. Again, we'll go over that in more detail in a couple weeks when we have our looping workshop. And then we want to create the tasks. So we're going to, how do we set the values for the tasks? Well, that's where I'm going to show you that expression builder. So I had to have one in there so you can see it, but so I could save it. But the the expression builder is going to help us determine what what functions we can use. It's going to help with the parameters of those functions, and that's one thing. I think one of the things our customers or you guys kind of get stuck on. Maybe not you guys, but some people get stuck on the functions, like what parameters should go in the functions. So this gives you a little more detail in that, like just-in-time information for what you should be putting in those functions, and also gives you drop downs to select for those functions. So let me show you. So first thing we're going to set is our title field, task name. So instead of directly coming in here and doing like some kind of string cat or some kind of like other function from over here, I'm going to use our expression builder. I come in here. Now it's going to be a little daunting at first because you got all these different options that you can choose from, but it's really quite straightforward when you start kind of going through it. You got a current item, which is basically just all the items from the current, properties of the current item, right? So we're running this on a ticket that has all these fields on it, right? So it's going to allow you, so it's simply the task name could it allows me to just select one of these properties from that current item. We could do that. That's not what we're doing now, but we could do that. We got our loop control item, which I'll show how that plays into it. You can use variables. So if you had a variable, you'd be able to select that from your drop down here. So again, you don't have to remember your variables list. Once you create them back here in the custom action, they'll be available for you. We've got the function option, and that gives you, this is where it really kind of shines a little bit, is that you have all the different type of functions. So instead of having some $, a name that kind of makes sense, you've got more built out description of what each of these functions does. More than that, it's already pre-populating how many parameters you need. And for string cat, you can add additional parameters. And on top of that, if you hover over the question mark, you got more information about what type of information are we looking for in those parameters. So it gives you, like I said, a lot more just-in-time information about what you are trying to do with these functions. So this is a datetime value. That's the time span. So you can kind of see those different things. This particular function, of course, for a task name, what I want to do is a string concatenation. You'll see you got that plus button that shows up. So now you can add new fields in there if you want. So then another feature you have here, and see that the expression types cascade down here as well. You have the fixed values that you could put in place. You have another function. This is where you can nest your functions. Contextual is going to be, today or me or what the list name is that I'm working with. Property is going to be something you can pull from a particular list if you wanted to, and actually you can go and select that. I'll show that in more detail as we go through this. So in this particular instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fixed value. I'm going to call it task, and I'm going to add a space in there because I forgot to do that the first time when I was setting this up. And now this is going to be a particular feature in conjunction with the loop variable, with the loop action, is that we have this function called get iteration value. So that's going to allow us to pull in that information from the loop. So the get iteration value is going to be looking at which item are we working on from that list, that query list, and we're getting information from it. You can see the expression type automatically defaults to loop control because that's where we're getting the information from. So that get iteration value function is not even available if you're not using the loop control, but that's fine. So you got the loop control, and then what are we getting from it? Well, we want to get the name of the task, right? So we're going to get the property from that task template list. And so now I can go, and this is where you don't have to remember those internal names. You can just go and get the task templates list, and you want to get the title. So I called it. So now you've got that in there. So now you're going to have the string concatenation of task, and then it's going to get the title of that particular task template that we're pulling this information from. Okay. And then, so that's our task name. So it looks a little different than what you're used to with the functions. So it's a little funky looking. It's got those little tildes on the end, but it's doing the same thing. It's basically getting the information and putting it into that task name field. So the other function we're going to be able to do here is get the assignee. So each one of those task templates has a different assignee. So we're going to be able to get that information using our expression builder, assign to, and we're going to use that get iteration value function again. So we're going to choose function, get iteration value. You see automatically defaults to the loop control. And then what are we getting from that? Well, we're going to get the property called assignee. I could type it in, but I'm actually just going to go and get it from this drop down here. So maybe a couple extra clicks, but those couple extra clicks mean you're not fat fingering information, you're not entering it incorrectly, you're getting the exact field title that you want, so that common things that happen with workflows and custom actions, that something's typed wrong, or you don't quite have the right property value, or you're missing a space, things like that go away at the cost of maybe a couple extra clicks. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Due date. Right, so you notice I have on here, I have the number of days until due. So how do we get that into our expression builder? Well, this is going to be a little more nesting going on here, but it kind of makes sense when you go through it. So we're going to choose due date. That's a field we're going to fill out. We're going to get our expression builder here. We're going to calculate business time, because that's the first thing we want to do is calculate the business time. Now, how do we fill out the parameters? This is where we can start nesting things, right? So you see in the calc business time, we have the date time field and then the time span. Well, as you know, in time span, you got the days, hours, minutes, seconds with the colons, but how am I going to get that with the number? Well, this is where nesting things gets really, I was really excited that this worked. So it was really cool. So contextual, we're going to add to today. So whenever we create this task, we're going to add the number of days, business days, to the today value, whatever day it is. Now we're going to get the second parameter of our calc business time by going to use the string concatenation function. So we come in here, go to string concatenation, and we're going to, now we have to embed in there another function. So we can do function get iteration value, because we're getting it from whatever task template is going through the loop at that time. And we're going to get the property of number of days until due. So I'm going to pull that up, task templates, number of days until due. And then here's the kicker. All we need to do, we have a number, we know it's days, so all we have to do is add that. That gives us the format we need. So you see it's looking for that format, and this is how we built it. So of course, if you wanted to do hours, it's simple enough. Just add add a fixed value of 0, then get the number of days, and then or whatever number of hours, and then add the minutes and seconds after. So you end up with this like kind of long, crazy function, but it's going to get you the information you need. And then of course the related ticket ID, so we make that connection. Right? So that's it. So then we publish that. And we come over here to our tickets list, and we're going to create a new one. And we're going to say need a new cell phone, not laptop, cell phone. We'll do cell phone this time. So change it up a little bit. And we're going to hardware request, that's our key to kick off those task templates. Cell phone, choose that. Everything else is fine, hit save. Now you can hide this screen. I'm showing it for the demo purposes today, but obviously, you can hide this screen from your user so they don't even know this is going on in the background. Close that. Need a new cell phone. And just like that, 5 business days out in the future from today. So today's the 21st. Yep, 5 business days will be a week from today. So that's the 28th. Then of course the week after that would be the 5th. So we got the calc business time working. We've got the tasks name concatenated over here. We got the correct assignee. So we've gone through and just automatically created those from the task template. Very easy, very simple, thing to do. Now, one thing I wanted to do a little differently in this workshop, because I think I've covered it. Let me see. So we got a couple questions coming in. Someone's got a hand raised. Actually, I wanted to unmute it because there's a few guys in here. I think if I can unmute you guys, we can just have a conversation. Because I think that would be, I think it'd be nice to do. So let me go ahead. I guess if you want to be unmuted, just let me know. Raise your hand, and I'll unmute you. Self-muted. How do I unmute you? So Fred, I was going to unmute you so you could ask your question. I think you can unmute yourself now. And then Jim will get to your question next. Is that working? Fred,
yep.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay, great. Yeah, what was your question?
So it was just a side question off the function thing. I was curious, you said you could hide that custom action working screen. You can? How?
I think you can, right? Maybe I'm wrong in that. Sorry. Let's see.
Yeah, the auto close is, yeah, it'll still show and then it'll close. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we can auto close it, and then one thing you can do on each of these, you should.
Yeah, you can show or hide.
Right, we should be able to show or hide these. Yeah, hide.
Okay.
And that, we only have to do it once because we're looping through it. This one you can hide as well. Let's see what that looks like. All right, and Jim has hand raised, so I'm gonna go ahead and unmute him as well while I'm running through this.
Just a silly question. When you concatenate, the string concatenate,
yeah,
how do you add like just a text value? Like say you wanted to put a dash or a space in there. How do you put that in there?
You just put the dash. That's all you need to do.
You don't have to put anything around it or anything?
No, the commas does show you the loop. All right, so I'll have to check with the team about adding that in for hiding that piece of it. But the to answer your question about the string concatenation, yeah, if you're just directly adding something in here, let me go ahead and do that. Let's say description, for instance. You want to do? I'll just do it without. Where is it? String cat. There it is. Yeah, we do like task, dash, and then whatever you want afterwards.
Okay. I thought I tried that, but I didn't bake. But I might be screwed something else up.
Yeah, well, let's try it and see if it works for you. If not, I mean, I know there's certain special characters that might not I think we might have to escape out of, but even within that, I think if this expression builder works, it should get around that limitation anyway. So let's say if we did like a fixed value here, let's just do task, or you can even put it, attach it to the thing. But I mean, I guess if you had a variable there or a placeholder, do fixed value like that, then I think that would do it.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, so if there's any other questions, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll unmute you, let you ask your question, and we'll get it answered. But yeah, so kind of want to run through some of the other things here. I think we kind of went through most of it. I mean, variables is just selecting a variable from your list. Fixed value is just a fixed value. Contextuals, like I said, current action, or within the context of what we're working with here. So I guess that hopefully it's all making sense. If not, feel free to pipe in or write a question in or whatever you need to do. So I'd love to make sure you guys get the most use out of this. All right, good. Brad, you're still muted. Making sense to you?
Making wonderful sense, and it's already on the GCC high, not the looping, but the GCC high, and I've been playing with it. I'm glad to see this because the till days were throwing me off. I was like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, I would like to throw some loops in there. I mean, it's maybe not quite exactly the way I would prefer it, but it is it gets the job done. Like I said, it solves the problems of remembering your internal names. It gives you more context and more information about what those functions are doing for you, and then the nesting of the functions I think is one of the highest value things, because as previous attendees probably remember, I've always said, like, if you need to use nest functions, go ahead, do a variable, put your function in the variable, then put that variable in the function. You can still do that. That will still work. That's not going to go away. But this gives you a more direct way to say, okay, I'm going to build this with these. Look at this, got like 2 nested functions in here, and that wasn't possible before. And I think it's only really possible with the expression builder here. Cool. All right, well, good. Hopefully that makes sense for everyone, and but that's all I really wanted to show today. I mean, like I said, the loop feature I'm super excited about, and I want to, if you are too, join up on the webinar on the 12th of October. And as always, these videos will be available after the fact, so you can take a look at them and refer to them down the line as needed. Yeah, that's all I really had for you today, and appreciate you guys joining, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if you have any questions that come up after the fact, just shoot us a note and we'll get them answered. So thanks again, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, guys.